Lali-ho everyone, welcome back to Hellblades' Retroactive Reviews, where I chat about games I've played that I both love and hate and break them down, all to find what I do and don't like in them. Now the past couple episodes, I'll admit, I've been more or less on the love side of things, but we're going to change that today, because today's episode will be about the RPG Corridor Simulator, also called Final Fantasy XIII. You might think I'm being harsh with that name, but trust me, it's fitting. Painfully fitting. Final Fantasy XIII was released in 2009 by Square Enix. I didn't mention Square in the last episode about Final Fantasy, I realized that, but I honestly forgot because of how much of a big name Square was and is. So, of course, by this point, Square and Enix became one company, and we now have Square Enix. I'm not going to get into their backstory. But let's get down to brass tacks, shall we? What do brass tacks have to do with this? A quick reminder of my scoring system before we start, as usual. We have 5 criteria: graphics, sound design, story, gameplay, and replay value. They will lead to an overall score that is the rounded average of the 5 scores together, and a grade based on that final score. Are we ready? Graphics, 8 out of 10. Okay, this is the part I will not argue with. The game is beautiful. The characters look pretty good, though I don't care for certain designs. But with that aside, the part that hurts it is how samey the game is at times. Specifically in the beginning, there's a lot of the hallways that are just bleh. The characters and enemies look good, the bosses are fantastically designed, but the world itself, until much later in the game, is kind of dull visually. Sound design, 6 out of 10. Sound 3, music 3. Wait a minute, HB. The music of this game is beautiful. What do you mean it's only 3 out of 5? Yeah, I hear you saying that. And here's my counterpoint. It's forgettable. I literally cannot tell you the name of any track in this game or what it sounds like outside of random strings and choirs. The music is a huge part of Final Fantasy's background, and even some of the less than spectacular titles have good music. But this one? Nothing stands out to me personally. The sound effects themselves are at least functional, but again, nothing really sticks out. And now we have voice acting, and, well, some of it's okay, but a lot of it is less than okay to me. Specifically, Lightning and Saz have good voices. But Snow, well, ultimately Snow's problem isn't the voice acting, it's actually the text he's given, but we won't get into that. I like Hope's voice too, but some of his lines are nyeh. Story, 5.7 out of 10. Story 5, lore 8, world building 4. Oh boy, this is going to be rough. So the story of this game is barely average. It has potential, and if I ever make another series talking about how it would fix game storylines, this is the top contender for the first episode. But we're analyzing what's already there. There are tons of spoilers as to why the story is so weak, but what I can explain here is that the lore and world building are actually, well, introducing the log system, data logs. This game gives you little tidbits of background story at a time using the data logs. It does a wonderful job of explaining the background of the world. But the issue is that all the world building is done through these data logs. Well, okay, not all of it. There's a little bit later on. We're not going to get into that. The important information for what's going on, however, not just the lore, but actual story bits, are in those data logs. It gets lost in the data logs because the characters never explain what's going on or why. Gameplay, 7 out of 10. I have mixed feelings about the gameplay. On one hand, this game does some decent combat with the paradigm system, but the Crystarium, which it relies on, is like a sphere grid light from 10. The idea behind using one character as your commander and the others attack on their own, and you adjust their AI based on what you've learned by either hitting them or casting Libra, it's actually interesting, but losing the fight if the main character that you're controlling is KO'd was stupid. Overall, it's not a bad system, it just needed some more time in the oven. Replayability, 3 out of 10. This is where the game hurts. badly. There's really no reason to return to the game, unless you want to see pretty cutscenes again, I suppose. But honestly, it's not that big of a deal, like, in a bad way. I'm not even too sure what challenges you can do to give yourself more, reason to come back. I've not seen any online. Maybe there is. Maybe I'm just blind. And the one I tried did not pan out very well. I don't recommend it. Overall, 6 out of 10, grade C. Surprising no one, I'm sure, this game kind of got hurt. Its lackluster story, poor execution of what interesting lore it had, and lack of a reason to revisit it pretty much ruined what chances it had of at least being a B, let alone A. It's pretty, I'll give that, but that's all the game really has going for it. And now for the spoiler warning, because I'm about to tear this crap down. Although I'm going to preface that I'm not going to go into a whole lot of story specifics because I have a friend who's still playing the game and is actually apt to hear this. So I'm going to take away some spoilers, but not a lot of spoilers. First, let's start with the characters in your party. I hate Snow. I don't care for Fang either, but I gotta at least understand Fang. Snow, however, is just an idiot who's dressing up like Locke for Halloween and never stopped acting like whatever he thought Locke was supposed to be. Then, there's an entire game being a corridor. I mean, I made the joke at the start. I've seen a lot of jokes about it streamlining the way that RPG tends to go. But RPGs do technically railroad you, but they make it seem like you have a choice. They give you the option to go where you want, even though you kinda are being pushed in the right direction. The idea is that it gives you the illusion of choice, and in this particular case, the illusion of choice would be better than simply stripping away the illusion. They signpost you on where you want to go, but if you want to go the wrong way and get yourself killed, that's up to you. And that's how some of the best RPGs go. Finally, there are bits of the story that do not make any sense to me. This is the part where I'm cutting back on some of the spoilers I would normally do here. Let's just say that if you've played the game to the end, you know my frustrations. There are a lot of frustrations that build up over the entire course of the game, and it's just, why? Honestly, you can't make the story of this game cohesive if you added a literal ton of gluten and eggs and whipped it into a dough. It would still fall apart. Anyway, with that, we've hit the end. I do hope everyone enjoyed this little rant about a game that I most assuredly don't like. In fact, it's almost at the bottom of my Final Fantasy game tier list. It's only third from the bottom. That probably says something about my tastes, but that's enough ragging on it. I do hope the music has sounded better. I got feedback about having it lower down a little bit, so tell me what you think. And again, shoutouts to Sunstrides for this music. I absolutely adore it, and I hope that everyone else has too. Feel free to let me know in the comments, and until next time, we hope to see you again. Later!